Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I just wanted to do a video to explain how to read a chord chart. The first thing that you want to understand about a chord chart is that it doesn't actually show you the guitar the way that we're used to seeing it. The way that it shows you information is a guitar like this. Some guitars, like this one, will have what's called a 0 fret, and it works basically the exact same on your chord chart as your nut would. So if your guitar happens to have one of these, that's the top line. If it doesn't, then the nut is the top line. The horizontal line on top will represent the nut or 0 fret. The horizontal line below that will represent the first fret. The line below that, the second, below that, the third, and then below that, the fourth fret. Our vertical lines represent our strings, starting with our 6th string, or our low E string, on the far left, and our 1st string on the far right. The first symbol that we'll sometimes find in a chord chart is an X above a string, and that indicates that that string is not used as part of that chord shape. As a quick side note, there's a bunch of different potential ways that you can not use a string in a chord. You can avoid strumming it or plucking it, but in addition to that, you can actively mute that string. And in future videos, I'll be showing different ways of how you can potentially mute a string that you don't want to make any sound on. The next symbol that we'll often see is an O above a string, and that means you're going to be playing that string open. That means you're playing that string as part of the chord, but you don't have to fret anything on it. It's important to note that a lot of chord charts don't use an O on the top of the string because that's kind of a default. If you don't have an X on a string and you don't have a fretted note, you can assume that that string is supposed to be played open whether there's an O on top or not. The next type of symbol that we'll see on a chord chart are dots. And these dots show us what notes are fretted to make that chord. We usually describe them by talking about the string they're played on and the fret they're played on. This dot would be on our 1st string, 1st fret. The next set of symbols that we'll see in our chord charts are usually some way of indicating what finger should be used for that chord shape. There is no absolutely correct way or absolutely incorrect way of playing just about any chord shape. There's always a certain case of why you would potentially use different fingers than the ones that are indicated there, but usually the ones that are written down for a good reason. Let's take a look at a left hand because that's the one that does our fretting. The simplest way that they get referred to is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Our thumb usually gets just referred to as a T, if at all. The much more confusing way that people often refer to their fingers is by name. Different people have different names that they call their fingers. Index finger, but some people will call it our pointer finger, middle finger, a ring finger, and little finger, although a lot of people will refer to that as a pinky finger. If somebody is referring to their 1st finger as pointer and indicating that with a P, and then calling their 4th finger a pinky and calling that a P as well, well, it just gets really confusing. 1, 2, 3, and 4 usually keeps it a little bit clearer for most people, but it's not uncommon that you'll find something like I for index, M for middle, R for ring, and L for little finger will usually either get a mark on that dot, either a number or a letter to show us which one of our fingers we need to use to press that down, or we'll get a number or letter right below that string showing us what finger to use on that string. So let's check out an A chord. On our far left, we have our 6th string, and that has an X over it, so we're not going to play that string. Our 5th string has an O over it, meaning that we're going to play that string open. Our 4th string is being fretted at the 2nd fret. Our 3rd string is being fretted at 2nd fret. And our 2nd string is also being fretted on our 2nd fret. And then our 1st string, all the way over on the right, is played open. It's very common for this chord to be played with our 1st finger on our 4th string, 2nd fret, our 2nd finger on our 3rd string, 2nd fret, and our 3rd finger on our 2nd string, 2nd fret. It's not uncommon for those to be written as letters of finger names, I, M, and R for index, middle, and ring finger, and those letters or numbers might appear below each string. Now I know that sometimes bar chords get this reputation for being a really scary thing, and they really aren't. It's nothing to be worried about. But some bar chords are actually super simple. This A bar chord, which is almost the exact same as our regular standard strumming A chord, is used in tons and tons of hard rock and metal songs because you just use one finger and you can just kind of mash it down to get all those notes. We're gonna mute our first string, or the string far right, and we're still gonna be playing our second, third, and fourth strings on our second fret. We're just gonna do it with one finger instead of three. It's also really common to see a rectangle in place of a bunch of individual dots in a spot where you're laying one finger across multiple strings. The last thing we want to look for is a number that's right by where our first fret normally is. So whatever number fret that is, in this case the 8th fret, that's where we're gonna start this chord shape from. This F chord has an X over our 6th string, so we're going to not play or mute that 6th string. Our 5th string is going to have a bar with our index finger that's going to go from our 5th string all the way to our 1st string at our 8th fret. We'll have our 2nd finger on our 4th string 10th fret, our 3rd finger on our 3rd string 10th fret, and our 4th finger on our 2nd string 10th fret. It's also worth noting that though we're barring our 8th fret from our 5th string all the way to our 1st string, the only two notes that we're really getting out of that are the ones on our 1st string and our 5th string, because our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th are being played by other fingers on another fret. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this to be a helpful video for you. If you find that you really enjoy these videos and you want to see more of the content that I make, feel free to like and subscribe so that YouTube will keep showing you some more. And if you're really getting a lot out of these videos and you want to help support the channel so I can keep doing this, feel free to check out the links below. I have a small company where I hand build guitars and sell them. And I also have a Patreon going that has some unique stuff going on, so feel free to check that out as well if you'd like. Anyway, we'll see you in the next one.